Hello, my dear friends. I hope you're all doing very well. Today we're going to be learning in the laws of brachot, the laws of blessings, chapter 2, and where the Rambam will be telling us exactly how to do the grace after meals, how to bless God after we have eaten a full meal. So this is talking about the blessings that we do after we have eaten a real meal, which includes washing our hands for bread, and in that case... And so, the Rambam begins off by telling us that the order of the blessings of the grace after meals is that there are 4 blessings. The first one, Moses instituted. The second one, Joshua instituted. The third one, David and Solomon, his son, instituted. And the fourth one were the sages of the Mishnah. So we have 4 blessings which we do, and we're going to see momentarily exactly how these blessings work. So, if a person is working, for instance, person is working for someone else, and now he's on a payroll, and every minute is on the, he's getting paid for it. So a person is eating, now it's on the, he's getting paid for that time. So when they eat, so then they should not make a blessing before they eat, and after they eat, they should only make 2 of the 4 blessings. In other words, they should make a shortened version of it, unless the person who is paying them, their employer, is sitting there with them, eating with them, which in that case they should make everything as regular. Now, the Rambam comes up and explains exactly how these blessings work. So, we have the first blessing, and where we actually literally thank God for giving us food, that God gives nourishment to everything, every creation of the world, and that's the first blessing which was instituted by Moses. Then the second blessing is a blessing in where we thank God for the land of Israel. And that was a blessing that Joshua instituted, in where we thank God that he gave us the land of Israel. And we say in the blessing how God gave us the land and sustenance in the land. And we should include in that blessing how describing Israel as a precious, good, and spacious land. And that's a very important part of the blessing. And in that blessing, we also include the covenant of circumcision, and we include the concept of the giving of the Torah. And we should first mention the covenant of circumcision, because that is the base, and everything is built up upon that, and our covenant, our connection between ourselves and God. So that's the second blessing. The third blessing is a blessing which is talking about Jerusalem. And we speak how we ask from God that he should have mercy on the Jewish people and on Jerusalem, his holy land, his holy city. And we finish off by asking God that that he's the one that rebuilds Jerusalem, or that he builds Jerusalem. This blessing was made by David and Solomon. They were the ones who, in their time, Jerusalem was being built up. So they are thanking God that we have Jerusalem. So it's a very special blessing, of which we've been saying for thousands of years after we eat, thanking God that he gave us this special holy city. And we mention in this blessing the concept of mercy and comfort, which is comfort is only going to happen once we have the complete return of the house of David, which will come, and the time of Mashiach will come. So that's an important part of the blessing. On Shabbat and on holidays, and in general on special days, there are going to be special additions that we add in to our blessing, our grace of after meal. Similar to our prayers that we also add in special parts in the prayer, based on the time of the holiday or Shabbat, etc. So in our grace after meals, when it comes to Shabbat, in middle of the blessing, we add on a special part where we describe how God has given us this day, this special and holy day of Shabbat, where we should rest as is God's will. And when it comes to Rosh Chodesh, the new month, for instance, or any other holiday, we mention, let's say Passover or Sukkot or any other time, we will mention the special blessing, how God has brought us to this time, and we thank God for it. When it comes to Hanukkah or to Purim, which are not biblical holidays. They were added on in a celebration that took place later on in history. So then there is a special blessing in the blessing that we speak, and we thank God for the land of Israel. We also will thank God for that miracle that took place on Hanukkah and Purim. Now, in the fourth blessing, which is the last blessing, we over there, it was added on by the sages of the Mishnah, and they added on various blessings and requests from God that we should have. And one of these things that we can mention, if we're eating by someone else's house, is that we should bless the master of the house, the host, asking God that he should have everything should be good. And similarly in the fourth blessing, if we're in the house of a mourner, we would add on a special addition for the concept of mourning, how God is the true judge. And on the other end of the spectrum, if it's a time when it is a time of joy, a wedding celebration, so then we would add on special blessings at the end of the fourth blessing in honor of the celebration of the wedding. And there were actually 7 blessings that we would make at the time of the wedding, and we can also recite that after the grace after meals, after the fourth blessing, and it's a very special opportunity. So we do this, we recite these blessings in a case where a person who was never married before, so then there would be a big celebration, and we would say these blessings for the next 7 days, which are called in Hebrew the Sheva Brachot, the 7 blessings, which we do for the next 7 days, for a full week after the blessing, after the wedding. It's such a strong celebration, we celebrate for a full week. But if it's someone who was already married before, a widower, etc., so then we would do it one time. So then the Rambam says that if the people who are saying this blessing in the time of after a wedding, they were at the wedding themselves, everyone was actually at the wedding, so then everyone already experienced this joy, so we only say one of the blessings, the last one, which is the longest one. But if there was someone who was not at the wedding, so now this is a new celebration for that person, so then we would say all the 7 blessings, as long as there are 10 men, there is a minyan, we would do that. And the blessings are, the Rambam actually transcribes them over here, and he writes them out, where the first one we speak about how God created everything in his honor. The second blessing is how he created human beings, and the third one is how he created humans in his image, and he gives them the opportunity of getting married. And the fourth one is how we talk about when the barren should rejoice when they have children. The fifth one is how we describe how God will make the husband and wife to be happy. And the sixth one is the blessing of how we describe the specialty of what happens during a wedding, where there is so much joy, love, and happiness that takes place, and that we ask from God that also he should bring this joy to Jerusalem, to the Jewish people. And of course, the seventh one is the blessing over the cup of wine, Borei Peri Hagafen, which is recited in the beginning. Now, what happens in a case? So that's the general build of the grace after meals, with the special additions that take place throughout various opportunities and various occasions. What happens if a person forgot to mention these additions? Let's say he's saying the grace after meals, and it's Shabbat, and they forgot the addition for Shabbat. So if they did not start the last blessing yet, so then there's going to be a special blessing that they can say, a shortened version of it, and they can add it in over there. But if they totally forgot, so then they should go back to the beginning and say the grace of meals after again. Because since it is Shabbat, it's a very key component to thank God with mentioning Shabbat. Similarly, in regards to holidays, similarly in regards to the new month, and so on. Except for Hanukkah and Purim. When it comes to Hanukkah and Purim, if a person forgot to mention the idea of Hanukkah and Purim, because it's only a biblical holiday, so therefore there is a special blessing that they can add on afterwards, but even if they forgot that, they don't have to go back to the beginning. Now, what about a person who ate and didn't say the grace after meal at all. So it depends. If it's done, if he remembers before the food has actually been digested, so that's about an hour plus. It's about 72 minutes where it says in Jewish law. So then they're able to go and say the grace after meal, everything is fine. If they didn't have, if the food already was digested and they forgot, so then there's nothing really to do, and it's too late. So they should be much more careful in the future to do it. So, and if the person doesn't know if they blessed or not, so again, same thing. If the food wasn't digested, they should go along and say the blessings. If it was already digested, so then it's just too bad. So that is a chapter for today. Very interesting chapter where we learn all about how we say the grace after meals and the 4 blessings, in where we describe the specialty of God giving us nourishment, God giving us the land of Israel, God giving us Jerusalem, and of course asking God for everything that we need at that point. It's a very special occasion where we are able to bless God. And again, this is very important. I mentioned this yesterday. This is one, if not the only blessing which is actually biblical, that the Torah says that we should bless God after we eat. So it's a very, very special concept. So whenever we eat bread, we should always say these blessings. Now, tomorrow, we're going to be learning about what happens if a person doesn't eat bread, but they eat something else. Whether it was a cookie, or maybe it was just a glass of water. In what case, what blessings do we do before? What blessings do we afterwards? We'll learn all about that over the next couple of days. So have a very good one, have a very good Shabbat, and we will see you all tomorrow night, God willing. Have a very good Shabbat.